Hey, we're here.
All right, that music, seriously, that's that's gonna be. I've got to play that as soon as I get in the car.
Oh my
It's
goodness. Yeah, right?
vibe,
It's called like what's it called? I don't know. It's called daydreaming.
daydream. I like it. I like it. So Tim, we just got done doing something really cool, or at least I thought it was cool. I thought it was really
It was
exciting.
cool.
Tell everybody what we just finished up recording.
We just recorded a episode of the podcast with Frank Viola, famous author, and he has two podcasts himself, blogger, and he's actually been on my podcast before when it was just me. And so he's the first person that Drew and I have interviewed together on the podcast. And we talked about his book, 48 Laws of Spiritual Power, and some really great insights through the conversation that should come out in probably a month or so. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, the conversation was great. I mean, every time we get to connect together, I think it's really cool and it's really great, and it always leads us to a deeper level of like understanding and thinking. For me personally, it always leads to me just kind of wrestling with God and wrestling with myself on some steps I might need to take in my spiritual disciplines. But this episode in particular really touched on things that I think you, me, everyone, listeners, everyone is going to not only go, yeah, me too, but also go, yeah, what do I do with that?
Right.
And so I think it's just going to be incredibly helpful. And I'm really looking forward to the episode coming out. I know for me, as soon as we got done, I'm immediately like, all right, I have so many thoughts of things that I now want to do or should have already been doing, or there are conversations I want to have, or when this comes out, I already know the 6, 7, 8 people I'm going to share this with because it just is so relevant to what we're all living in right now and trying to seek understanding in one another and seek understanding on how we're supposed to be, how are we supposed to behave, how are we supposed to react. So I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to it, and was really proud of it. Like really proud that we did that we had Frank on, and proud of our questions and our responses. It was good.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where like all the questions like tied into each other. So, they kind of had, oh, yeah, when you get bitter, oh, and your next law talks about bitterness. Like they all kind of flowed together really well. And I'm going to put the title here in the chat because
Nice.
I think everyone should get this book. Um, I'm just reading it. It's almost like it sounds like an insult to say bathroom reader, but it's not because it's like one of those things you can pick up, read a chapter. It doesn't take you very long of time because there may be 3 to 5 pages per chapter. And I found it I think I'm only halfway through it honestly, but um, it's one of those things I can just pick up, and if I don't want to get invested in like chapters of bigger books, I can be like, oh, that was a good one. I kind of needed that today, or I can see how that applies, or go back and read it later, type of thing.
Yeah, I like that, and you're right. It is, if you want to go with the bathroom reader, it is very much that. It's like Proverbs in the Bible. Like you can just pick it up and read like 6 verses, and you're like, yeah, no, I gotta get
Yeah.
on that. Like that's really that's
Kids
really
today
good.
don't know what that kids today don't know what that is because you have your cell phone in the bathroom.
I
You
know.
used to have like actual books behind the kit behind the toilet. You would have these big long books about whatever, right? Random stuff.
Totally,
And one of
totally.
those lost things like maps and
Like maps and yeah,
anything else that technology has taken over.
absolutely. What's up, Scott? By the way, see you in the chat. Thanks for saying hey to us. Good to see you, bro. Scott, how are you? Is there anything that we can be praying for? Anything that, any questions you might have that we can dive into just like right here? Or anything exciting happened to you today, like that would be noteworthy of talking about. I love how you're just so ready, Tim, with your type your questions in chat. Like your ability to recognize where we're headed and then just like go ahead and launch into that is just
I'm
brilliant. It just
loving this StreamYard platform. So if you
yeah,
don't know why we're actually live streaming, is because we wanted to test out the StreamYard platform. So we've been on Zoom this whole time. Even
right.
before Drew came on my podcast, I've been doing Zoom for years now. And StreamYard is really fancy. Like you can do a lot of cool stuff. If you saw our intro video with the cool music we were vibing to, you can do overlays, you can do questions. We can live stream to multiple platforms and see your questions, regardless of what platform you're posting from or typing
Right.
from. So yeah, I'm loving it. I think it's great, and we could do more lives. If you like this live, let us know.
Yeah, and it also gives everybody an opportunity to see how we're changing up our facial hair week to week.
Week to
And I
week.
think that's really valuable. I think that's really,
Yeah. I'm trying to
really
get more,
valuable.
and you're going less this week. You never know.
This week. Yeah, you never know what could happen. I went, now look, I gave it like a week here with the little Fu Manchu thing. I had that going on. But yeah, eventually, I just had to trim it down, So
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, and it looks like StreamYard's doing great. It's a great. I'm following right now on Facebook so that I can say hey to everybody and see what's going on in the chat. It's really good. I like it a lot. I really do. So what do you have planned? What do you have planned for this weekend?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff this weekend. Actually, there's a prayer night tonight at my church. So we do a all church prayer the last Friday of the month, and so it's a community of churches in our area, maybe 12 to 15 churches. And the last Friday of the month, we get together, and there's a host church, and we're hosting this month. And so I'll lead it with a couple other pastors, and it's just cool to see like unity, where it's not like just me and my kingdom and my little four walls. It's like we're going to reach out to other churches, even if they're different denominations. We just, as long as they're Trinitarian believing churches, we can do life with you, to a point. And so anyway, that's tonight. Tomorrow we have a memorial, unfortunately, and I'm getting a massage tomorrow morning, so that'll be good. And yeah, church Sunday. What about you?
That's a big full week, man. So I would say we don't have as full of a week structurally, but it is an exciting weekend. So for me and my family, tonight's kind of just an opportunity to be at the house, which is nice. We've had a busy week, and it feels like one of us has either been working late or out for something we needed to do in the evening. So it's going to be nice to just have a night with the family tomorrow, watch some football, sure up the message, of course. I'm excited about the message this week. It's going to be really long, which I love. I love when it's long because that just means God's just downloaded a ton of information. And every time I try to trim it up, I'm like, oh, I'll take out this paragraph, and then I'll keep reading, and 3 paragraphs later it's like, oh, I'm gonna add a paragraph. So I'm going in this weekend. Yeah.
I'm going in this weekend
with it's gonna be long.
The next 14 months will determine the next 14 years. What does
that's what I believe for our church. I believe that the next 14 months, how we approach it as a congregation, how we approach it as leaders, how we approach it myself as a pastor, I believe that is going to define the next 14 years. And so if we go into the next 14 months going, well, what we're doing is really great, love it. Let's just kind of keep rolling in the pace that we're rolling. This is good. God is good. We're good. We're all good. If we keep doing that for the next 14 months, then I believe the next 14 years will look exactly like that. We will constantly be living right at that mark of, I hope we can make it this year. I believe that we will have every year, we'll have 20 new people show up, and we'll have 20 people that say, yeah, the church isn't progressing, so I'm not in anymore. And it'll be like this revolving door. And so I think you're just going to get in this position of, how we approach the next 14 months is really going to define who we are. And we have a very rare opportunity ahead of us to really go after some things, but it's going to take all of us, and it's going to take commitment, and it's going to take us really deciding that this is the year. So I'm doing everything I can to prepare when it comes to vision and when it comes to telling people what God has shown me, which is always a challenge, right? Because you're speaking to something that maybe other people haven't seen, haven't experienced, or don't even know is possible, or maybe don't even believe is possible. So we're trying to grow in our faith. We're trying to grow in our belief. We're trying to grow in taking steps as a church towards some things. And if we do it, like if we decide, you know what, the next 14 months, we're absolutely just going to crush it. We're going to run after it. We're going to run hard. If we do that, I think this church for the next 14 years is thriving in not just an opportunity to be generous, but thriving in an opportunity to be one of the most impactful churches in our area. And that's what's on the line.
That's
so
cool.
it's exciting.
I love how recent episodes you were like, it's not optional to do something, basically, at my church.
Right.
You're like, we don't want seat fillers. And I think your call to actions is powerful. Like, get on board, go where we're going. You're welcome, right? And it's like this encouraging. It's not like this, you're not serving, you need to get out of here. It's not that at all. It's like, this is where we're going. Let's go. Like, let's do it.
Right.
And I think that's a vision that people will definitely get behind.
Yeah, I hope so. And then the rest of the year, man, we're just locked in. Like this Sunday we have baptisms. Next Sunday is student takeover. I don't know if I've told you about student takeover, but the first Sunday of every month, we have such a great young adults and student presence at our church. They run the service. Like student takeover, the students literally take over. They serve in all the positions. They do the welcome, they do the offering. And this time, where normally I still give the message, what's really exciting is there's this 16-year-old who's part of our student ministry, and I've been working with him over the last several weeks, and he's going to deliver the message. Wow. And not only is he delivering the message, but like it's going to be one that is, I mean, it's really, really good. First of all, like he's done a phenomenal job, but it's just really clear that he is a very mature for his age 16-year-old who loves Jesus and wants to share that with others. And, I'm proud of our church for being like, we want to give that guy a rep. We want to give that guy an opportunity to speak. We believe that God can speak through him to students, to young adults, and fully family mature adults. Like we believe that he has something for them. And now that I've seen like his message and what he has, like, I know that to be true. So I'm really excited about that. We also have our annual budget meeting coming up at the end, towards the end of November, called Harvesting Hope. And that's going to be an opportunity again to speak vision and all that. Then we have year-end offering going through December. We've got communion in there as well. And boom, then it's 2024, and we're going to start doing some radical things, which I'm just so excited about. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
very encouraging and exciting to have a vision bigger than just what you see, right? And I think in churches too, and I tell our team, like, always question, like, why do we do what we do? Is it just because we've done it for 10 years and that's just what we do? Or is there something God's leading you down? And it might be scary in the moment. It might be something like, hey, we've never done this before, but also that's a great place to be, because without vision, people perish, right?
That's right. And I've been so encouraged. I'm going to let you talk, I promise. No. I've been so encouraged by the way that our congregation and elders has responded to like that change. Like one of the things I've been promoting is like new is here, new is here. And I don't necessarily know what that means yet. I'm starting to get more and more awareness of it. But God's just really helped me understand that like we're coming up on a season of new. We're going to try some new things. We're going to do some new things, and we're going to have some new blessings in our life. And to see the elders and a lot of the leaders of our church, including the founding pastor of this church, go, absolutely, like, let's do it. Let's hit it dead on. Let's run after everything God's given us. Like, man, that's been such a blessing to me, because that'll takes the pressure off of like hurt feelings, takes the pressure off of, am I an outlier here? Takes the pressure off of, is God telling them what he's telling me?
He's doing it.
Yeah. Like really takes all that pressure away and says, man, I got some, like, it allows me to lead at a higher level. And to me, like the best leaders out there have the best staff and have the best support to put them in a position to lead at a high level. So I'm excited about that. But tell me what you were going to say before you went into all that. You said where there is no vision, the people perish, and then you were going to say something.
I was going to talk about that I saw a movie called Domino Revival this week, and it was really powerful. It's with Mike Signorelli and his crew of Demon Slayers, and it goes over his story of growing up and where God radically changed him into becoming a pastor. And anyway, it was really cool. It was powerful. And they did like a 20-minute altar call at the end. And they talked about different things that people prayed through in the theater. So the theater's like become a prayer session afterwards where people are praying for each other,
Wow.
praising. The same thing happened in the Come Out in Jesus' Name movie earlier this year too, where they were doing actual deliverance in the theater post credits. So anyway, it was cool. This has been an awesome year for movies. With Jesus Revolution, and there was a His Only Son movie, and then the other two I mentioned. And then I was going to mention too, on just turns out Halloween night we're not doing anything, and so we're going to go see the After Death. Have you seen that movie?
I haven't. No.
So it's a documentary based on. It seems like it's done really well in the trailer. Almost left me emotional. Is where it shares about people's after death experiences from both the medically verifiable manner and also from like their family members telling about what happened and things that they knew,
Wow.
like they saw themselves on the operating table where they could never known certain things were happening when they came back and said. And then some people like saw lights, and some people felt like they're going to hell. And
Wow.
I know there's an afterlife, and I know there's heaven and hell, but also I never know what to think of people that said they died and came back. Because there's been some stories where like, oh, that person was just making it up, and there's been many books and people making money off of it, and so it's one of those things like you just never know unless you experienced it. And so I know, of course,
Right.
the afterlife is real, but I think this is done in a really good way. It's from the same studio that did The Chosen, Angel Studios. So it's from at least a good studio, and so anyway, I'm excited to see it. See if it's any good. I'll report back, I guess. But
I love it. That's great. So you didn't want to go see Taylor Swift Eras tour? You didn't want to go
oh my
check that
gosh,
out?
it reminds me of a TikTok video I saw. Oh man, I gotta show you. I can't show you on here, but no, not going to see that, unfortunately. But I was gonna say, who should we interview on the podcast? Because we just interviewed Frank Viola, literally right before we got on live. And so I put the question out to you, if you're watching this, if there's somebody that you'd like to see us interview, let us know. Because so the Eyes on Jesus podcast for 2 years plus was interview based only. And if you know our story, we've talked about it, where Drew and I got together after both basically quitting our podcast and saying, hey, what would it look like if we do it together?
Right.
And have co-hosts that talk about topics every week. And so we've been doing that. We think it's going really well. However, it'd be cool to mix in once in a while a guest that we have on who has a cool perspective on things, or where it's not just all one or the other, but kind of mix it in a little bit. Because at some point we might run out of topics, but probably not, because life is always happening and we don't run out of sermons.
Sure.
So more than likely we can always find something to talk about. But when you have cool guests on, it adds a different dynamic to it and stuff. And so
yeah, that's good. Anybody that's listening, that's checking this out, like, make sure you comment below who you'd like to see us interview. You know that someone is going to take what I said about Taylor Swift and put that in the comments. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and say that what's funny is that when they look back at this, they've probably already done it. But
right.
that's what I would have done. There's got to be another one of me out there that would have been like, yep, why don't you interview Taylor Swift? So, and just for the record, I would interview Travis Kelce before I would.
There you go. I was going to say, why don't we have him on? Well, if you go back through the podcast feed, I've had over 100 interviews with people. Like, I can go back and ask people to come on. Like, who would you like to have on, Drew? Based on either who I've had on, or if you could just pick anyone.
Well, all right. So there's this one guy. I'm not going to say his name because then if we. There's this one.
Oh no! I jumped to mine.
He's got big biceps.
Yeah.
He's got big biceps, and he has a small church in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it's in a lot of places, but no. So there's this. All right. There's this pastor. I'll tell you his story. I won't tell you his name, but I'll tell you his story, and I think it would be fascinating. So there's this pastor who started a church almost 2 decades ago, and started it with just over 2 decades ago, and started it with just a couple families. That church then grew into an unbelievable force. Like, we're talking 15, 20,000 people at one point. Then COVID hit. All right. And as we saw, a lot of pastors let the stress and pressure of COVID and leading in a new season and trying to understand what that new season looks like, affect them, and not just affect them from a emotional and a weight standpoint, but also affect them in their decision making. And he made a bad decision and decided to not just like have an affair and cheat on his wife, but also stick with that person. And it turned out that like that had happened maybe even like other times as well, but regardless of the details, he then, though, this is interesting, he then started this gathering just like a couple months after all this kind of broke as public news. He started this gathering where people are showing up like crazy, and they're like really wanting to like hear him communicate and hear him kind of go back to being like that pastor, right? And he's not now like a lead pastor, but he is now going to be like on staff somewhere and is going to, you know, be like a guy again.
Yeah.
And in the middle of all that, he wrote a book, and the book is kind of like slamming the church for not putting pastors in a position to be successful. And I think it would be a great conversation because, one, I'm really curious, like how much ownership and responsibility he takes on himself.
Yeah.
And I'm also really curious, now that he's written the book, like, does he still stand by all of that? Was that out of frustration? Was that out of reaction? Or does he like really believe like churches don't set pastors up? And then on top of that, like, if you started the church yourself, do you mean you didn't set you up for success? So I don't know. I have a lot of, that's the thing. I want to interview him because I have a lot of questions, and you know, I have a lot of respect for this guy. Anybody who, you know, was used by God to build that kind of church is pretty impressive. But I want to find out more information about the book, and I want to find more information about what he's seen God do in his life to not only have the reassurance to move forward with leaving his family for another woman, but also to have the confidence to know that he still, in all grace, is able to communicate the message of hope that Jesus brings. So that would be one guy.
I thought I knew who you were talking about, and then you say things, and I'm like, I don't know if I know. So I'm very curious.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of people, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, unfortunately, yeah. Hey, Rob, what's up? I saw you're here. Let us know
Rob, what's happening?
We need questions.
Do you know Rob? Do you know Rob? Like personally, or do you just know him through social media? Yeah.
Yeah. He's in the Man Up God's Way community.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
cool. What's up, Rob?
I would like to well, yeah, of course, Craig Rochelle.
Yeah, tell me who you would like to interview.
Man, I'm trying to think of people I haven't interviewed, and then it kind of narrows the field. I would like to re-interview a lot of people actually that I've had on the podcast before.
Okay.
But like Vlad Savchuk, I don't know if you know him. He has a new book called Host the Holy Ghost, and I'm reading it right now. Okay. Cool to have him on. Be cool to have Mike Signorelli on, who I was just talking about with the movie.
Yep. Yep.
And then like, yeah, some other people that, you know, they don't have to be super well known. Like Cam. What if we had Cam on?
Ooh, I'd like to do that. He's got some exciting stuff going on at his church too.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Also, you know who else would be cool? Matt Rose would be cool, as he's starting a church in Arizona.
Oh, really?
And it would be really cool to like find out. Yeah, you know what he called the church? It's really cool. He's called it Orbit Church.
Orbit,
and it's
like
all about, yeah, Orbit like the gum. Hold on though. I want to read you their tagline. It's really cool. Tracy Gibbs, what's happening? It's
Jesus
a really cool
world.
tagline. Nah, it's not like that.
Not
like that. No. Hold on. I'm gonna read it to you because I want to go to their website and make sure. Oh, no one's rated them yet. I'm gonna do that today. Revolving everything around Jesus. Oh. Orbit Church, revolving everything around Jesus. They're launching next year in the West Valley.
Oh, okay.
So their mission is we exist. Yeah, we exist so that people will find peace, develop purpose by revolving everything around Jesus. I love that.
If they had a revolving door at the entrance,
Stop it.
I'm
Stop it.
in. I'm going.
I'm in. I'm in. That's perfect. That's perfect. Revolving
Like a
door. There
space
should
theme,
be.
yeah, man.
They really should build like a round stage and do worship in the round, and really like just make that a theme. Like you can't be
like,
Orbit Church and have like a rectangle building.
What about that Sphere in Vegas? You could have that.
That's it. Rent that out.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sure it's cheap, right? I'm sure it's cheap.
I bet it's dirt cheap. I bet they can't get anybody in there.
No.
Dude, that thing looks incredible. I think I'd get sick. Like honestly, I'd love to see a concert there, but part of me thinks if I get to a certain seat, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna throw up.
Well, the amount of like, and someone brought this up online, and it's kind of a conspiracy theory, but that much technology and as little LEDs as you have around you, and they say like don't have the phone too close to you. Like, what are you surrounding yourself in? Like, is that even good for you? Does anyone know, or do we just?
Oh no, it's probably gonna give everyone cancer. Like, there's probably a high chance of that. But they say the same thing about Coke Zero, and I pound those. So, like every time I have a picture with me and Coke Zero, or like I'm out in public, I'll take a drink of a Coke Zero. Somebody inevitably will be like, that stuff has aspartame in it. I'm like, what? God. I don't care. Like it's delicious. It tastes so good, and I hate it for my pancreas. So. Like hate it for my organs, but man, I pound those things.
Get your caffeine with no sugar. Goodness. You can't beat it.
Yep, that's right. Well, cool. Well, this is awesome. StreamYard's been great. I really enjoy it. Thanks for everybody for saying hello. If you're watching this back, it's not live, say hello. Let us know that you were here. And we've got exciting things heading your way.
Our podcast this week that came out on Wednesday was Devotion, being devoted to Christ. So check that one out. We're 23 episodes in with Drew and me, so you have a lot to catch up on.
Crazy.
If you haven't listened to them yet.
Crazy.
Let's give everyone a preview of what the next one is. Hold on. The next one is we take your questions. So that's a good one.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one because that was the week that on Facebook we had the whole comment section. Yep, I remember that now. That is going to be a good one.
Yeah. So please look forward to that. And anyway, thanks for joining us. Bye, Drew.
Bye.